Going live.
Hey everybody, I'm Brian.
Hello everybody, this is Joe G.
Hey, I'm Shannon.
Hi, I'm Ron.
Hey, this is Steve.
Oh, and we can't forget about Marcel.
Oh, hey.
And we are live. Good morning, Steve, Brian,
Good
Ally.
morning, Shannon.
Hey.
Hey, Brian.
Hey.
Good morning. Well,
Good morning, Ally.
Now, just looking in the chat, we've got a couple people in there. We've got Cowboy Valley and Timberline Junction, so that's Claude. Indian Head Valley, that's Wilmer, isn't it?
Of course.
Yep. I always butcher this name. Schuylkill River Valley?
Cool. John.
Jeez.
John.
Yep. Yeah, so got a couple of guys in now. I know there'll be a few people joining us a bit later. Yeah.
Shannon. Hey, Shannon. Shannon, introduce our guest.
Okay, so this is Ally. She's another Australian over to the west of the country. I'm over there, so this is a 3-hour difference between us. So yeah, we'd like to welcome Ally, and just have a chat.
Hi everyone.
Hello. It's good to have you with us.
Anyway, so yeah, we're starting the show a little bit earlier. We're going to be a little bit more informal with today's show. We're just going to talk about
a lot informal, very informal. This is Shanty talk. We're just going to talk. We're just, about whatever, what's going on and whatever you want to talk about. Just something nice.
Yeah.
Everybody
if you guys want to jump on to, onto the webcam chat, I can take up to 12 people, but I haven't tested 12 people yet, so I don't know if the bandwidth can support that.
Yeah.
But in saying that,
we've been talking for the last hour, just kind of having a good time, and I've been working out here and then meeting Allison, and we've actually been having a good time. So why don't you guys jump on so you can have a good time too?
Yeah. So okay. Brian, where are you up to on your late anyway? You've been in and out, up and down, haven't you?
Oh yeah, I'm working on scenery, like to try to make the helix not look so ritual. So, I don't know if you see it or not. I've been doing this stuff.
Okay, my son's taking over the show.
Good.
Well,
he's an absolute cutie.
What do you do when you lose your spoon? Oh, there it is.
Your spoon?
Well, for
the amount of spoons I have destroyed for my wife.
Oh, I know this is don't tell anybody. This is a great bowel spoon, so don't tell anybody.
Shannon, tell them about, or we could ask Ally to tell them about her scale a little bit. She's got a unique model railroad scale, at least unique to us folks over here.
Yeah, so, Ally, if you want to talk
I've heard about it, but I don't know it.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
thanks for the introduction, Brian. I was here in the chat last week, and I did mention that on model S scale. It's not a commonly well-known scale. For those who are wondering what S scale is, it's 1 to 64th, so it's kind of between O and HO, HO being half O, but I model specifically narrow gauge, so we can get away with using HO mechanisms and HO track, basically. So I've actually got a couple of examples here.
And I've got one example here for you.
Yeah, that's it. That's mine.
So that's really cool. So you can run S narrow gauge runs on HO track.
Pretty much, yeah. So this has actually got a 00 scale mechanism under it. It's from a By-Trains Class 47, a British locomotive, but 3D printed bogie frames. Pretty much everything 3D printed besides the motor and electronics, and a bit of brass in there to support it, stop it from bananaing. Yeah, so that's basically S-scale. It's quite big here in WA because of the availability of HO mechanisms and things like that. HON 3.5 and other versions of the narrow gauge is a bit harder to get. And it's been quite large in WA since the 80s. So, yeah, HON 3.5 wasn't big back then.
In chat, who does dual gauge HO and I think HON or HON3 if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, Claude, yeah, HON3 and HO.
Yeah.
Yeah, and some of that stuff, as you know, is probably it is actually very expensive. So doing a lot of or buying the proprietary mechanisms and building on top of those, scratch building and things like that, is a much cheaper option for a lot of people over here as well. And you don't have to build the mechanism because it's already built for you. All you have to do is make the cosmetic changes and off you go.
So that process isn't as difficult as it sounds, because when you say scratch build a loco, my mind just goes haywire. It's like blank. I mean, I don't even see where you would start, you know? Because Shannon talks about that all the time, and I don't even know where you would start to scratch build a loco. And I guess you start with 3D printing the shell?
Well, a lot of people have done the research for you, and so all you have to do is just buy the parts and match it all up, really. This one here, the 3D printed DA class, it's a West Australian Government Railways DA E&D locomotive. Basically, the whole thing is 3D printed. I've made the handrails just out of brass wire and soldering it. And yeah, all I had to do was buy the mechanism. The guy who designed it to suit a certain mechanism, which he'd already measured out to make sure had the right wheel spacings, the right size wheels, etc. This one's just slightly out, but it's so close you don't notice it. So it's only just slightly shorter in length in the bogie than it should be, but with the small tank you can't even tell, because these had a rather small fuel tank to cut down on their weight on the prototype. So they were a fairly light locomotive, because we had very lightly laid branch lines over here. So yeah, you don't notice the little things like that.
Allison, what caused you to get into S-scale? I'm curious. I've never seen anybody doing S-scale. So how did you even choose that?
Well, is it more common over there?
It's not that it's common. It's more that I can model the prototype that I want. It was all about modeling that particular prototype, and the kits are available. I don't have to start anything from complete scratch or anything. I met the group through one of the model railway exhibitions, or our only model railway exhibition over here, our annual one. And I grew up seeing these locomotives in real life, and so I wanted to model them. Just as you were mentioning in one of your previous episodes, why model what you model?
Right.
Again, for me, that's what I grew up with. So to get what I want to model, that's the scale I had to go to.
Gotcha.
That makes sense.
Now, do you have a switching layout, or do you have a main line that runs a continuous loop, or?
What I'd love to do is a diorama, but unfortunately in my little unit, I don't have the space. So that's why I joined my local model railway club, because they have a club layout and I just run my trains on that.
Ah, gotcha.
It's much easier. And you can see a lot of the stuff that we run on the S-Scale blog that I was running up until late last year. And I've posted a couple of videos up there as well, so people can see it. And it's all based on a real place. The layout's based on Swan View, which is up in the hills to that direction from me. And it's based on WA's only tunnel.
Oh, I have 32 on my line.
This is a proper tunnel.
Yeah, I got you. I know 29. I have 29 tunnels on my line. I got lucky.
You got 29 tunnels. Jesus Christ.
29 tunnels, and the trip's only 45 miles.
And you've got access to all those in case of derailments and things?
I don't have them on there now. That my line has that many for me to model when I get there.
Ah.
You're going to be busy, Brian. Man, you are going to be busy making tunnels.
Well, and I had to make a nice large lift out to get the 3 turnouts in this part right here. The whole section will basically come up and out if need be. And because if my train derails, that's where it derails, right where those 3 turnouts are together. Even though they are Pico turnouts, sometimes it happens. But
sometimes it happens.
Yeah. Thank God they're not Atlas. Right, Steve?
Oh, don't go there. Yeah.
Now, do
you know what? I don't know what I'd ever do if I had to pull all these things out now. It's like I'm stuck with them.
Oh, well, you don't need to. You know how to work them. You become a master at them.
I had to make them work. They're working okay.
Well, yeah, they don't need to come out.
Yeah, except you're stuck with these funny-looking turnout motors. But it is what it is.
Yeah. Allie, do you get to participate in the scenery work and stuff at the club, or?
Well, we're actually building a new layout at the moment. I haven't actually had the chance to participate much. I was part of the initial bench work, I guess you could call it. It's actually aluminium, but I was part of that initial stage. But it's progressed way on to scenery now, and unfortunately, I haven't been down to the club recently. Actually, our club, because of this COVID-19 stuff, it's closed. We've actually had to close our local club. So I don't think there's going to be any work done on it until that reopens.
One of the things I was thinking about is, there's a lot of people like you who are in apartment settings or something like that where they're not ready to build their layout or whatever. And one of the things that I was thinking about that's a problem about not having your own layout is not being able to build the scenery and all that stuff. And when you mentioned scratch building your locomotive, I was thinking that kind of could solve that, for people who join a club where they don't do their own scenery and run their trains at home. If they scratch build their locomotives, they would actually kind of get that part of the hobby as well in there. So that's cool that y'all do that.
That is the pure reason why I join clubs. That and to be social as well. But yeah, you learn a lot of skills and you can practice skills in that and then apply them wherever else you want to apply them. Whether or not that be other layouts or eventually your own layout.
Well, it's important for me to be able to switch from track work to scenery to working on a structure or something like that, because I get tired of working on one. I get in a rut, where I'll do track work, and then I got to get away from it.
Hey, Chris, come here for a second.
So that would be good to have a scratch build outlet like that. So I was thinking, good morning, Claude.
Good morning, Claude.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Well,
Sorry,
Allie.
you're gonna get him in the hot seat.
Evening here.
Yeah,
No, because I changed his name
Whatever it is.
before I put him.
yeah.
Who do you think decides to take a piss all over himself because that is all?
Well, he leaked. That's good. That means I don't have to change the bed at least. Because it went everywhere. I did see that. Thank you.
Yeah. Sorry, I had to let my wife know about something. Hey Claude, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Oh, you know.
What have you been up to, Claude? You've been staying in your bridges.
Well, that's why I popped on. I thought you might want to see this. I got the first trestle that I started working on. I thought it was 36 inches.
Wait, Claude, wait. I'm coming.
Oh, okay.
I'm coming.
I thought it was 36 inches. It's actually closer to 48 inches. I'm good.
Wow.
And it's kind of an S shape. But I've got the deck and the rail put on it.
Claude, you got to mute the screen.
That's why I popped on. I thought you might want to see this. I got the first trestle that I started working on. I thought it was 36 inches.
Wait, Claude, wait. I'm coming.
Okay.
I'm coming. Oh God, the echo.
It's a delay. And it's kind of an S shape. But I've got the deck and the rail put on it.
Claude, you got to mute the screen.
That's why I popped on. I thought you might want to see this. The first trestle that I started.
Oh no, the echo is gonna do my head in. Oh God, the echo.
Is that?
The echo is gonna do my head in. I've got an idea.
What is that?
Hey Claude, see if you have YouTube open or something, except because it's. I've got an idea.
That feedback's not
Oh,
my
that's
end. Is it?
Oh, that's better.
I think you got it. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
I hear something. Oh, there it is. I got it. Oh.
No one's got YouTube open with the stream. That's where the feed comes. If you have Ooh, did it stop?
Yeah, I think that might have been me. Sorry.
Oh, no.
Oh.
Sorry.
No, it's all good. It was just very coincidental that Claude jumped on and
It would actually come through.
oh.
The guests are allowed to do that. The guests are allowed to do that.
Oh.
Yes.
I remember that was happening on the Real Wicked Canadians channel the other night, and I was like, "Oh my God, I cannot deal with this."
Yeah, it hurts.
Oh,
And it's very common. It happens a lot.
oh yeah. Anyway, so Claude, you were showing
Look
off your
how
bridges.
beautiful. Yeah, hold on.
Yeah, I was trying to show you. I'm trying to hold the phone and actually hold this trestle also. This is the bottom side. Now I had plans off of that one trestle kit that I had, and that's what I used on this. But I had to make some more. That trestle kit didn't make as much as it said it did, so I had to add some to it, and I had to fabricate some parts. But the hardest part for this was figuring out all these little beveled corners here for this, because these are two bent. There's two bents for every piece, or actually three, one on each end and then one in the middle.
It's like a chain. I see.
That's what's left.
And let me get it turned around here.
Ooh,
It's kind of hard to see on the camera, but you can see this is straight here, and then there's an angle here and it goes to the next one. Well, I had to do that all the way across. All of these are about 5 inches lengthwise, each section. So I had to figure out that angle. That was the hardest part. Once I got that figured out, it went together pretty easy. And then I could adjust off of that if I needed to. I tried to kind of hold it up over there where I'm going to put it, but it's kind of hard to hold it one-handed and hold the phone too.
Yeah,
but it came up pretty good.
Yeah.
I've got all the bits made for it. I just have to get the terrain underneath it, the base part of the terrain done, which I've started. I can show you that a little better than I did a while ago.
I still think you're crazy, Claude, for hand laying all that. My God.
Well, now, like you see, here's the helix is almost finished, but in the helix I use flex track.
Wow.
But see, I started putting up the cloth. And
I'm having flashbacks.
This is hydrocal, and I did use the dryer sheets with the plaster, and it worked wonderfully. But I ran out of dryer sheets, so I stopped right there. But I'll get some more done. I've got to get the terrain base part of the terrain done in here, so I can put that trestle in. Then I don't want to be working with a lot of plaster over the top of it, so I want to get mainly the plaster part in. And then the scenery, the fusion fiber that I used over here will be the stuff on the ground itself for the end of the terrain. But yeah, the helix looks like a slinky that somebody shoved from both sides because it goes one side and back to the other.
But that's cool.
And then I'll have a trestle. I'll have a wood trestle here, like I told you.
Yeah, you can really make some awesome.
And then there'll be a steel trestle down here. But anyway, I thought you might want to see that since we talked about it a couple of weeks ago, and I hadn't started it yet. But
boy, you've come a long way, Claude. Holy moly!
Well, it's getting there. The scenery really makes it look like it's going somewhere. Laying tracks a little slow, but yeah, it's gonna look pretty good, I think.
Yeah.
Sorry, what scale are you modeling?
I'm HO and HON3. So as you can see here, I've got dual gauge track in the yard. So I've got a loop to loop, reversing loop to reversing loop on the standard gauge, and then the narrow gauge comes off at this junction point, climbs that far side over there into the mountain, and then we'll come off and go that way, and also back around this way.
Claude's not very serious about his railroad.
I'm sorry, Brian?
I said Claude's not very serious about his railroad.
No, he just hand lays every bit of track he can.
Yeah, it's pretty ambitious, but you know, you get my age, you can't mess around with the small stuff. You got to go on for it, you know.
Well, I like the story behind it, like how it started small and then ended up not.
Oh yeah, I ripped out the first attempt. The first 12 months worth of work, I ripped it out, and it was not nearly this big.
Right here,
when you get old, this is what you have to do for N scale.
That's why I'm not doing N scale. Narrow gauge is bad enough.
Believe me, you still need those for S scale too.
That's it.
Yeah.
I can't live without that thing.
I've only got 42 by 3 feet to run on. I need N scale. All right. I'm in a 16 by 10 shed. I can't run HO.
Well, I'm in about 17 by 13, but there's a big square. There's about a 7.5 by 5.5 foot square out of that. So I'm not much more space than what you've got.
It sure looks like it, man. Although, you know, I've only got 8 feet of mine done, so.
Yeah.
Hey, Claude, Container Man wanted me to ask you how you like using fusion fiber.
I like it. I did a couple of short videos on it because I'd never used it before. I saw it at a train show, and I picked it up, and I used it, and I showed how I was doing it, but I'm going to change how I put on, say, the rock face on the original that I did here. Sorry about the light. The light's horrible in here. I stuck these into the fusion fiber, So I did the fusion fiber over, and then I pushed these into the fusion fiber. That worked okay, but it actually works better to take just some Type Bond 3 and put it on the back of the hydrocal molds and glue it right to the dryer sheets. You can see the dryer sheets here that I'm using.
Mm-hmm.
And they hold on there just fine. You can see I can wiggle those pretty good. They don't come off. And then I'm going to take and put the fusion fiber in between as I work across where I've got the rocks anyway. And I'll do the same thing over here on the plaster, except that I'll put the plaster, I'll glue the rocks to the plaster, and then I'll come back in between with the fusion fiber. It looks more texture-wise like ground foam. I don't know if you can see that. It's cotton and cellulose with a glue in it. And of course, then the color is, I put the color in, you just add acrylic paint to get the color. The nice thing about this stuff is if you mess up, I could come back in here and wet all this real good and pull it all off. So you can do that. What they tell you to do is to put your ground cover material on it while it's still wet, because it takes it, I'd say 48 hours to really dry good. Mm-hmm. So you've got plenty of time to work with it. And for the top coat of the ground cover, I think it works well. I don't like it as the mountain building material. So I will plaster, some of that over there where the rocks were, and the rest of the cardboard and stuff that I have around this mountain will be plaster shell with the fusion fiber put on the top of that.
Claude,
but it works really well.
Claude, because there could be a flaw with this, so I want you to listen.
Okay.
I did homemade sculptor mold, and then I cut up pieces of, fully cured great stuff foam, fully done, hard, you know what I mean, cut into the size of rocks. I pushed the great stuff foam in the size of the rocks into the homemade sculptor mold on my, on my mountain side. I let that dry. Then I came back over the top with another layer of homemade sculptor mold. And that's how I did mine. And I'm just wondering if, as that stuff dries on that great stuff foam, if I'm going to have problems with, it kind of contracting or anything like that.
If you use the foam that gets hard, that expands out and then gets really rigid, it won't go anywhere. It'll stay like that. Good. You should be okay with that. Now, if you're using the one that comes in the blue can with the yellow lid, that's made for going around doors and windows, and it doesn't ever get really hard. It'll expand, but it stays soft like a foam rubber.
Well,
that's so it doesn't push your door frames and your window frames out.
Okay.
My thinking is the foam rocks would just be so much lighter than the plaster rocks.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they would be.
So that was kind of the reason why I wanted to go ahead and try that, just because of the weight.
Well, yeah, and it depending on how you've built your bench work, it's going to make a difference too. If your bench work is not, say, as heavy as mine, and mine's probably not as heavy as some people. I only used 1/2-inch plywood on mine, but depending on where you put the weight, where you actually put the plaster and stuff, as to how much it's going to weigh in that area. Overall, yeah, there's a lot of weight there, but if you spread it out, I spread plaster out over this room, it's not nearly as critical as it is if it's all sitting in one corner.
Sure.
So it's, that mountain's going to be a lot of plaster on it, but it's going to be a shell.
Yeah.
I can actually see through the plaster I showed you. Let's see if I can show it here on the camera. The plaster that I did over that side, if you can see this, I'm going to stick this down under here. I can see what I'm showing you. You can probably see through there. You can see light through it. Now, when I get ground cover on there, that'll cover that up. But you can actually see the light through the backside of the plaster. Because the plaster's not real heavy. I would dip the sheet in the plaster, and then I'd kind of pull it through my hand and wring it out. So I didn't have a great big amount of plaster on there. There wasn't any reason for that. We just wanted to get it wet and then put it up over the grid and let it dry. And so that gives you the shell for the basics of what you want to do. And that keeps it lighter that way too.
Why didn't I think to wring mine out?
I don't know. It just, I didn't even think about wringing it out, except it just came natural to me. And so I was picking it up out of the tray to pull it through one hand and squeeze most of that plaster off instead of throwing all that plaster on every sheet. And of course, those dryer sheets, bounce dryer sheets are not very big. They're, I don't know, 8 by 6 or something like that, but they worked out really well.
Oh, well, I'm holding mine up, letting it drip for a minute and a half, cussing.
Yeah, just pull your hand down over it, and just wring it out and back down in your tray or whatever you're using. And then you can spread it out. There's plaster on it. You want it to be soaked, but you don't want it to be dripping.
Yeah. Well, and that was the problem. If it was dripping, it goes places you don't want it.
Yeah, exactly. And I did. I flung it all over the place, even wringing it off. It's a messy process, so you want to cover everything that you don't want plaster on because it'll get there.
Yeah. Well, I won a track cleaning kit on a contest, so I'm all good. I didn't have to cover my track.
Yeah, no, you just took a page out of Simon Saucy's book with his.
That's how I justified that. Not
You're
covering.
Simon too. Yeah.
It's so easy to lay a piece of painter's tape over the track too. That's where you're working, and I still won't do it.
Well, saying on some of it, I just had some paper. It's almost like tissue paper, a little heavier than that. Lightweight butcher paper that I ripped up into sheets and just pulled up over some of the lower tracks. But they're pretty much covered by the upper tier of the helix, so I don't have to worry about it too much. But I did put some paper down over that. But as I go, I'll cover the tracks. If you want plaster up next to them, you can always come back and add that, but you can do it under a controlled situation instead of flinging it with the sheets, because no matter how careful you're going to be, you're going to get it all over the place. I've even got a drop cloth down on the floor, and I don't even have any flooring in here. It's just subfloor. But I didn't want to have to scrape it all up off the floor either.
Oh, Jesus.
When we
Go ahead.
Sorry,
Go ahead.
Steve, I didn't mean to step on the deck.
Oh, no, go ahead. No, you're fine.
I was just going to say, when we were doing the layout, we had a group layout in Newcastle when I was living in Newcastle. And one of the things we found was that gave a nice effect was putting the plaster straight on to, without plaster cloth or anything like that, straight onto foam. Because what we could do is we could carve the foam and rough it up a bit just using our fingernails, and that gave us a nice sort of rocky looking effect. And then just put the plaster on that, just held that in place. And of course we had to mix it up a lot thicker so it would stick, but it gave us a beautiful effect afterwards. And it just looked, some of them look like really good cuttings and things like that, where you run a railway line through a hill or something like that. And yeah, it came out really, really well.
Yeah,
and
I used a little bit of foam in the basin of that area where this trestle's going to go, because I needed a creek going through there. I'm going to put an old stamp mill down there that's going to be an abandoned stamp mill for the mining part of it. But I needed a creek, and I didn't want to really cut into the plywood to drop it down even lower. So I just put a piece of 1-inch foam over the top and then dug that out, made the creek in that. And then I put plaster over the top of all of that. And I did just like you're saying, just took it and spread it with my hand. And that'll be the basis to put the fusion fiber on, and then the ground cover on top of that. So yeah, there's tons of ways of doing it for sure. I went more old school with the lattice cardboard and stuff like that, because that's kind of what I knew. But
and it's cheap.
I didn't feel like cutting up all that much foam for this mountain. That would have been a task, I think.
We had a guy who used to love doing that. It was his favourite job. We called him Snowman, because every time he was at that foam, it was just everywhere. Like the whole layout was just white with foam, and everywhere. And he was covered head to toe.
Yeah. Well, I did construction work, so I'm in the construction end of business, and I know how that can get with the mess. And I try to keep it cleaned up as I go because this is inside the house. So I try to keep it all cleaned up. It can get foam, especially white foam. I don't know how guys work with white foam, Steve. That stuff does. It not only does it get everywhere, but it sticks to everything.
You just make sure you got your shop vac going.
Yeah. Well, you get the static
or-
electricity
and do it
off of it,
outside.
and then you get it going through the shop vac, and then you'll get zapped off of the shop vac. So,
Yeah, and then people walk around the yard going, "What is all this? Did it snow?"
yeah.
Well, when I did this the other day, it looked like I murdered an Eskimo in here because I used white foam. I will never, ever buy that stuff again. I'm gonna just bite the bullet and spend the money and get the pink foam because that was a mess. My gosh, I had no idea it was gonna be that big.
I've still got a little bit back here I got to deal with, and I'm not looking forward to it. But
Yeah, if I buy anything that comes like electronics or something like that that comes packed with styrofoam on the ends of it, that's the first thing that goes back in the box is the styrofoam, and then it gets thrown away. I don't even let it sit around the house because this stuff gets everywhere.
yeah, you gotta love it.
Oh yeah,
It's cheap and it's handy. It's always available.
that's true. It is cheap. Yeah, yeah. If you don't mind putting up with the mess, it's that it makes it's usable for sure.
Keep the vacuum
Well,
closed.
if you can use it with a sharp knife, you can get to the point where you don't make too much of a mess. But if you're just straight carving and digging at it, and you could have a pile of snow.
Yeah, if you're careful, you can minimize the mess. And I don't know how a hot wire cutter works on it. I'm assuming it works pretty well on that also.
I don't have one, but somebody made a suggestion here a while back because with the lift out parts that I've got, every time I lifted it out, I got these little, things that were coming off the back and the bottom. And somebody made a suggestion to cover it with the what the heck is the name of the Mod Podge, the mat. This the Mod Podge.
Well, it works as a glue. So anything to cover, even paint would help.
That was a great idea. That sealed it up, and I don't have that problem now. And that was I don't know who suggested that, but somebody on one of the videos, just paint it with Mod Podge. And,
well, one of the other things I was going to mention, guys talk about putting in their water and stuff and having to seal the base. Let me show you this again. See where I put this little creek that's going to come down through here. They talk about sealing this up so your water effects don't go dripping through. What I'm going to try using, and it may not work, but I think it should. You've seen the commercials for the guy that paints the screen door and puts it on the bottom of a John boat and gets in the lake.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to use. I'm going to use that in a spray version. I've used it to seal patches in my concrete saw or my tile saw, and the spray on it, and it works great.
I think it reflects.
Claude.
Yeah, flex seal is what it is. But it comes in a spray form too.
Well, why wouldn't you use your plaster fabric sheets?
Well, I did. I put a little bit of the sheet on there, but I didn't need the sheet here. But to keep it from running anywhere and trying to find any holes, I'll dam the end up. But I'll spray that Flex Seal down in there, and that should keep it from trying to go anywhere underneath.
Gotcha.
And that particular area won't have a lot of water to it, but there will be a creek there.
I was going to say, with the cloth wouldn't absorb it, would it?
No, the cloth. Once the plaster's dry, the cloth won't absorb any of it.
Yeah, it's pretty dry. But if you've got any holes at all, they say it'll run through there. If you're putting any depth to your water.
Yeah, I learned that the hard way.
Hey, Claude, I have a suggestion for you, Claude. You can use white foam. Steve 87 PSAP. He said that's why you cut the white foam at a friend's house. That's a great suggestion.
There you go.
This is somebody else's
Yeah,
house.
take it over to your neighbor, man. Cut it on his driveway and
Yeah, just don't put it back in your car and take it home.
leave a little trail.
And Claude, another thing I found too is that time you wait for that resin or whatever it is to to settle. The time you wait for it to settle, if you pour it too fast, it's still so warm and super thin that it will find holes to escape. But you can wait a little bit till it thickens up a little more, and it's a whole lot better about that.
I'm not sure exactly yet what I'm going to use there. I'll probably use Woodland Scenics material just because it's not that much water there. I've seen that used. It looks like it's pretty easy to handle.
Yeah,
because it's just going to be a creek. It's not going to be a full-blown river right there.
Yeah, no, I've used clear cast resin on my layout, and yeah, it's so easy to mix enamel paints into it to get different colors and whatnot. So, but as Brian said, like wait for it to dry up a little bit so it does get a bit thicker. Because when I laid my river down, the first part of it, I lost probably a good liter of resin to the underside of my layout, which ate into a lot of the foam, and I had to reconstruct half my layout. It got messy. But in saying that, once I did get the river started and I found all the holes and blocked them up, I just casted the river in layers. So I do a dark layer, so I mix a bit of browns and blacks to get a dark tints. Then I made a bit of a lighter shade, and then I just made a clear coat for the top, and then I just used Mod Podge just to get the wave effects into it, and yeah, it popped out very well. Like besides what happened at the start, it actually turned out very well.
Yeah, there's so many different ways to do all of this stuff that it's really crazy, because you just got to find one that you like or that you think you can do, whether it's easy or cheap or whatever the situation is to make it easier for you. But yeah, there's tons of ways to do it. That's what makes the hobby so great, because I like figuring out problems and trying to, like this helix that I showed you. I had no plan for that. I just started building and went up, and I like figuring out where I need to go and how I need to do it. And to me, that's the interest in the build. I did the same thing when I was doing the RC airplane. So I like the problem figuring. And some people don't like that. They want to plan and just be able to, follow the plan, and that's good too.
Yeah,
I say there's all kinds of ways of doing it.
Yeah, no, I kind of made a plan, looked at the plan a few times, decided, do I really want to follow the plan? Started following the plan, and then halfway through it gone, screw the plan, I'll just do it how it works. And then got out the other side.
What they say, like the first few minutes of an operation, the plan fails or something like that. So you might as well throw it out from the beginning anyway.
Sometimes it's like that.
Yeah, I did if you see one of my first videos, I showed the plan that I had for this, and it's a general plan. I mean, I followed that as far as the shape of the layout and what I generally wanted to do, and that's taking place. But as far as, say, like the yard right here, it's completely different than what I drew on paper. Quite a bit of the layout's different than what I put on paper as far as the actual track plan. But I knew what I wanted to do in general and where I wanted the trains going and that sort of thing. So for that, it worked really well. And I did stay with that part of it. Although I've changed it, as I've gone. I've put some down and torn it back out and redid it a different way when I saw how to do it, But for me, that's the best way.
That's what happens. It changes. You draw it out on paper, and then you end up this. I was showing Ally. This is my track plan that I drew 2 years ago for this thing, and it's nothing like what I was planning. I mean, it's similar, but that's the original thing I sat down at the kitchen table and drew out. And it's like,
Yeah.
it's way different now.
I said something to my wife just yesterday morning, or day before. I didn't sleep very well. I tossed and turned all night long, which is not normal for me. But every time I'd wake up, I had this thought pop into my head of what I wanted to do with one of the trestles, not the one I just finished, not this one that I showed you, but the one here on the front of the mountain that's going to go right there up on top. It's going to be a wooden trestle over the steel trestle, not over it, but above it. Anyway, I had this thought. I kept running over and over and over in my head. And of course, that was what kept me up most of the night too. And then I walked in and the next morning going, yeah, let's see, I'm going to flesh this out. And I walked over to it and I thought, well, that's not going to work. So, that's kind of how it works. Every time I walk in here, I get a different idea for something. And then I'll walk over there and go, no, the original idea I had was better, or this will be better. So, it's kind of an ongoing battle.
Claude, some of my best ideas have come at 3:00 in the morning when I can't sleep, because you're not thinking about anything else. You're just kind of, and all of a sudden it's like, wait a minute, okay, that'll work. So yeah.
Because in my mind, laying in bed, half asleep, I was going, oh, that's going to look great. That's going to look fantastic. And then I got up here and I got, well, that's not going to be practical at all.
It's always the case.
Yeah.
Everybody, I want to wish everybody a good weekend. I got to take off. Y'all have a good weekend. Thank you, Allie, for coming.
You too, Brian. Stay safe.
Y'all have
Brian.
The show. I'm going to dip out. I got to go take care of something. Have a great weekend.
All right, easy done. We'll
Take
talk
care,
next
Brian.
week.
Take care.
Later.
Wow, it's halfway through the show. I keep looking at the clock and I go, no, that's not American time. No, that's not American time. And I just keep looking and I go, it's not American time.
Well, if you want to know that, Shannon, we're way more than halfway through the show. We started early.
Yeah. Anyway, in saying that, if there is anyone in chat that wants to join us on camera and just have a chin wag, talk about
chin wags. I like that.
Is that another Aussie slang that you don't know about?
There's another one. Chin wags. I'm going to write this stuff down.
I don't think that's an Aussie one.
Well, it's like the Americans. They don't know what a fortnight is because fortnight does not exist in their dictionary.
That's 2
What,
weeks.
2 weeks?
Yeah.
Yeah. But you said drop the penny. Okay, that I've never. Okay, drop
the penny dropped.
Okay.
The penny dropped.
Penny drop. Penny drop.
Yeah, my sister came back from there after teaching down there for 3 years. She came back with a bunch of stuff that, of course, she doesn't say it anymore. That's been several years ago, but yeah, we made fun of her for a while.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm surprised the accent hasn't come up yet.
The accent. No, I think the guys have had their fun with me in the first few weeks. And then Steve Brown last year, just with the shrimp and the Barbie comments. Oh my God, they're stuck in my head every time. Oh.
I was looking at Roy Hardwick. He said he's drawn over 100 different track plans.
Oh, really?
Holy, man. Oh, and speaking of Roy, there was also an earlier thing going on in chat about the truck drivers. What's going on right now?
Yeah.
And I want to throw out a big thank you, Roy, to you guys. I've got a couple other friends that are truck drivers, and with what's going on right now, a lot of people are scared, and I think it's some of it's justified, some of it's not. But you guys are keeping things going, and God bless you. I mean,
bring toilet paper.
Yes.
Yeah. There's plenty of Depends. I mean, the shelves are full of those. I mean, it's worst comes to worst, man. But
well, we went to the store yesterday. They had the grocery store we go to here had a special deal from 6 to 7 in the morning for anybody over 65 or that was in had health problems, and to come in because they'd done a little extra cleaning and stuff. We went in there. Of course, half the store's gone, but people are grabbing stuff that in normal life they'd never use. and they'll
Well, no,
take this all
I-
home and they'll put it on the shelf and they'll never ever use it because it'll get back to some kind of normalcy after a while, and they won't ever use it.
Right. Well, and finally they're limiting people. I mean, panic is taken over, and it's unfortunate because it's it's bad, but I still don't honestly. And since we're in the shanty talk, I don't understand the toilet paper thing.
I don't either.
Yeah.
The
I think the toilet
has
paper
nothing to do with sitting on the toilet.
No, but I think the main thing about it was there was a rumor that's of all places. It started in the USA. Don't ask me what state. All I know is it was started in the USA. But supposedly you guys get your toilet paper imported from China or something like that. And that was the whole fiasco that started.
Paper mill about 10 miles south of me, so.
Well, that's the thing. It got that rumor came over to Australia, and all our shelves just went crazy nuts. And yet, we have 4 different distributors in Australia that manufacture and distribute toilet paper to all of Australia. And it's like, are you bloody serious? And the day
they make toilet paper in Oregon, and you can't buy it.
Yeah. But the funny thing is the day it made it on the news for us was the same day that up in Queensland, a B double truck rolled over and lost its load of toilet paper.
I remember
Not good.
But
that happens here, it'll be like ants at a picnic.
Oh.
People be all over that wreck.
Oh, yeah. I was on the highway, and I think, now that I think about it, I'm pretty sure the highway it rolled over on looked pretty wet, so I think it was raining. Oh, God. So...
Roy Hardwick. He said, I was telling some other truck drivers, their companies were telling them to lock their trailer doors if they were hauling toilet paper. The driver said, to hell with that. She will let it blow the people. Oh, God.
Oh.
Yeah, the panic is what scares me more than the.
Well,
I agree.
Well, crazy.
Well, I was reading a little bit about it, and there was a comment I read that actually made a good point, and this was kind of justified with something I heard on the radio when people were calling in about their crazy stories about the whole thing, and the short version of it basically is when someone goes into a situation where it's not normal, in the back of their head, they start to panic. And, and it's kind of, everyone's a sheep kind of thing. And in regards to what I heard on the radio was basically this lady called up and said, I sent my husband down to the shops and whatnot. He's all calm and fine. It's like, oh, yeah, there'll be plenty of stuff. And he gets there and he sees the shelves are empty. And just for the fact that he saw the shelves empty, it's like that voice in the back of his head is like going, panic, you gotta panic. And he's straight away on the phone, honey, the shelves are empty, what do you want to buy? What do you need? Do you need this? Do you need that? And it's just, it's just the fact that he saw it. And in the back of his mind, it's like, okay, well, everyone else is panicking, so I gotta panic. Go.
Yeah.
Well,
I think the media blows out.
Because you're not worried about something, but then all of a sudden you look and it's like, well, everybody's grabbing everything. I'm not scared. I'm not panicking. But then you're wondering if you're going to be able to find stuff because people are and it's a domino. And it's my personal opinion is this is a media-driven panic. I mean, they're not giving people the full information. They're putting out, like California, a couple of days ago, they put, Gavin Newsom put out that 40 million people are on lockdown, and that's not true. I mean, they're ordered. Okay, it's to shelter in place. If you look at the government website of what sheltered in place means, it's not a lockdown. I'm hearing rumors that the borders are closed between the states, and that's just a bunch of bull crap. I mean, it's just not true. And the media needs to put out information that's factual, that doesn't scare people, and they're contributing to the panic.
They're selling papers, selling stories. That's what the media does.
The wilder the story, the more the wilder, the crazier they can make it, the more they think they're going to make money on it, and more people will watch. And I haven't watched, national news except on YouTube a little bit. But we haven't watched for 2 or 3 years, and stress level in my life's gone down so much because it's like I told my wife, it's not news anymore. They tell you what happened, but then they tell you their opinion, and that you should believe their opinion of what happened, not what actually happened, and leave it at that. They go on with it, and try to get you to go along with how they're trying to spin it, whichever way that might be. And both sides are guilty of it. And that's the problem. American people are losing the ability to think for themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
With all the social media and everything else.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody, I don't know if I should put this out or not, but Les Stroud, Survivor Man, he put out yesterday a 5-minute video that I would encourage everybody to watch. He kind of lays it out, and then that's where the shelter in place comes from. That this isn't lockdown, it's not martial law. Everything is open. Restaurant. You can't
just
go to
use your head.
Yeah, I mean, you can go to the laundromat, you can go to the store and get your pet food. Everything is open. They're not going to arrest you for being out. They're just asking you to, stay at home if you can. Is basically what it is. The restaurants are open, but it's takeout. It's phone in. They just put out a thing that Sonic up here is offering 50% off on anything for truck drivers, and they'll bring it to them. They said, park on the freeway, we'll bring it up to you. So it's not, it's not lockdown. It's not martial law. We're not, but it's just people need to, use common sense, and get through this.
Yeah, exactly. And
this is when I'm glad I've got a hobby like this inside.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shelter in place. Work on your layout.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, the other thing as well.
Send me my room.
I was going to say the other thing as well with the media just basically feeding this monster of an issue is I've seen people out there talking saying, look, if you're gonna watch the media, they're gonna be like, hey, look over here, look here, look what I've got over here, and you don't notice what's going on over here at all, and there could be some truth in that. I don't know. I personally haven't searched for it. Do I really care? Yeah, I'm a little concerned with what's happening at the moment because obviously with all the hysteria, it's affecting how much work my actual job's getting in. Like, yesterday I serviced my own car during work hours. Yeah. We had nothing in, and my boss has to wear that and be like, well, I've got to keep these doors open. I've got to employ these 2 employees that are under me, but there's no work coming in, so like with all this panic, there's a lot of small businesses that are getting affected just because of BS. Yep.
You know what, Roy, Container Man, I'm going to put this one out. He said, I'd like to say that if you see a truck driver walking away from a restaurant without any food, offer them to go through the drive-through for them and bring it to them. Now, that's a great idea. That's a great idea.
If I say, well, I don't go out that much at the moment, looking after kids, but yeah. Side note, my wife works at KFC.
What?
Well,
my concern is okay. Let's say okay, California is on shelter in place, 40 million people. Okay, you don't go to work for a month. Okay, my daughter's a teacher down in the Bay Area, and basically school is done for the rest of the year. They've shut everything down. So what do the kids do? Where do they go? But what happens to the people that can't go to work for a month? I mean, some people are on salary, but what happens to somebody that?
Steve,
Did you freeze?
I think I lost connection to the States.
Yeah, we lost Claude as well.
Yeah, I'm still broadcasting. What the hell? The governments have found us. Hang on, I'll just check the stream.
We've been talking too much about this coronavirus.
Yeah, because I'm watching the upload right now, and
oh no, Steve's gone altogether now.
do you think I can get into my phone quick enough? No.
Yep. Okay, so people can still see us.
Yeah, no, it's broadcast.
Oh,
Whoa. Something must have happened in the States. Wow.
something has dropped off.
Well, there's Steve.
Hang on, Steve's back. Steve's back.
What the was?
I was going to say, Steve, did the FBI knock down your door?
It's like when I started talking stuff, and also like, boom, I'm gone. It's like, wait a minute.
Yeah, you're still very sketchy.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
I'm what?
Still very sketchy.
It's an internet thing. I think it's on my end.
No, but that's the thing. It happened to both you and Claude.
Yeah, Claude's back. But yeah, you both froze at the same time.
Well, seeing to me, all three of you froze. So.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Weird. Maybe we better not talk. Maybe the government's listening. I don't know.
Wait a minute. You can only say that over on Steve Brown's channel.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. None of that. No slandering. Anyway.
Well, Steve would agree.
I know, but we're gonna try and do this civilly. Okay, we're not gonna pick on anyone.
Professional.
Anyway, moving on. For those of you on the chat right now who follow my channel, I did put a bit of an update. It does regard.
I saw that this morning.
Yeah, it does regard this small pile and those two tubs and what is meant to be my dining room table.
Oh, you don't want to see my pile.
Yeah, but I've
Shannon, with what you have, you don't need what you're sending me, so you're not going to get it. I think I'm just gonna
No. I will send, if I have to, I will buy a plane ticket and I will come hunt you down. I know where you live.
No, wait a minute. You said you were going to send Brian to get me. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, no, but that's what I'm saying. Brian's stage 1. Stage 2, I might have to get Marcel involved. Stage 3, I'm coming.
Oh man. Okay. I guess I won't keep this.
Come on, Steve. You'll love it.
Yeah, I get to play with it too.
Yeah. For those who,
I'll put a video out.
Yeah, do that. Yeah, that'll keep everyone interested. They'll be like, "Oh, what's Steve getting? What are they arguing about? What is going on? What's going on?"
I promise I'll do that.
Yeah. No, it should be a good test of your track work.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, because I was reading a post where someone they built a layout, ran diesels. This might give away a little bit, but they ran diesels and their track work was perfect. They buy 2 steam locomotives, and what do you think happens? Every joint, every switch point that is not accurate, boom, off it comes the tracks.
Well, the problem, my track work is fine, but I do have some steam. I got a few.
I'm actually on here.
They do run, but they don't like the Atlas switches. So we'll see how yours do.
I was
The
always
wife's camera shy.
told that the best way to test a layout is with an articulated locomotive like a Garrett or a Mallet, because
the way
Well, I've got,
the articulation.
The thing is, I've got a Bachmann. This is a really nice Bachmann Mountain. Runs great. Runs fantastic.
I've got different opinions on that one.
It won't pull 4 cars up the hill. The thing doesn't pull worth a darn. Runs great.
Yeah. Steve, I can tell you, when I've been financially supporting this hobby for myself, I have bought 6 of those locomotives. All I've got left of them is a couple of chassis, a tender, and a whole bunch of wheels.
you butchered them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, mine run good. Actually, the little Pacific will pull. It'll pull 5 cars around here. But that big mountain, it won't pull nothing. A big.
You probably got an earlier one that doesn't have rubber tires on it, because the later ones came out with rubber tires.
Actually, I think it might.
Ooh, I see a big box.
I don't know. On me? Where? I don't have a big box.
Oh, nice.
I want it.
If that
It's
goes around
brass.
your layout,
It's brass.
anything will go around your layout.
It's brass. I must have
Brass and white metal.
brass.
It's not even finished.
Actually,
Still gotta put the motor
hey Ali, contact Eureka Models.
in. Why?
I spoke to the guy at the
Robin.
Labor Day exhibition. He's got a whole bunch of Garrett parts, so front end, back end, and centers, which need some work done to them, and basically, it's the whole, someone calls up, I bought this loco, it's under warranty, and the rear mechanisms failed.
The bits you swap out because there's a slight bind or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. So he's got all these, pieces of Garrett's that, just, you can literally just chop and change and make a Garrett and make it work, but
You've got to match the numbers. But yeah, I've actually got 2 of his Garretts, and I had a third one, but I sold it, and it was a mix and match of. I saw him at an exhibition, and I bought the 3 separate parts, front, center, rear, and and that one worked fine. There was not. It said things like slight bind and stuff like that, and all you need to do is just a little bit of tweaking and ran beautifully, or it just needed a bit of running in.
Yeah, exactly.
Just
but
on a loop a couple of times and ran beautifully.
Yeah, well, in saying that, I was speaking to him the other day, and he's selling them. I think it was 150 each unit.
Yeah, 150 a unit was the last time I saw him.
Yeah, so
Or depending if it needs more work, $100 a unit.
yeah, well, he's doing that again, and he says he still has heaps. But yeah, he said he's not going to do another run of the Garretts, not for a long time.
He's done 2 already. I've got one from each run.
Yeah. Well, he was explaining to me every time he does an order, he has to do 1,000 units. It takes him about 8 years. He said it takes him about 8 years to sell 1,000 units. So
well, they're not exactly cheap. I mean, if you bought one with sound and everything, you're looking at about $1,000.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Brand new, weathered with sound.
Mm.
That's about as much as I paid for an unweathered one. It was just over $900.
Yeah. What was I going to say? And I know there's a guy in New South who did the whole 2 ESU lockdown decoders, and in the front unit he programmed the decoder specifically so if you up the throttle up too quickly, it would do wheel slip.
Yeah, I think I know who you're talking about. Jerry Hopkins?
I think that's him, yes. I can never remember his name, and every time I tell people about him.
Railroader.
Yeah.
I've met him, absolute genius, and his layout, it's another dual gauge layout like yours, Claude, American, and it's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Because I've visited his place a couple of times. I've never had a running session with him, but you see his YouTube videos when he does programming. Oh, it's just amazing.
Oh yeah, he doesn't go onto he just buys decoders and goes, right, there's a decoder. I'll just make the sound up from scratch. Let's find a YouTube video. Yep, I'll use that sound. Oh yep, I found a sound for a bell. Okay, let's create the file. Oh, let's do a bit of programming here.
Right. His Garrett whistles didn't sound right to me. That's why I liked the Eureka ones.
Mm.
But other than that, they were beautiful runners. And he puts the lights in, like for the checking the smoke color and inside the cab and marker lights. And these are all done on the DJH brass kits, and they're heavy, so heavy.
Oh yeah,
but they're amazing.
Yeah, exactly. But that's what makes them so beautiful. And talking about Garretts now, I want to get a Garrett. Oh my god, I want to get a Garrett.
That's my exception to my modelling rule is I will buy a Garrett no matter what its prototype is. Because I mostly model diesel because it's easier. But Garrett's my exception. I love my Garretts.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think it was the New South Wales Garretts that actually, seeing photos and videos of them originally in my younger days is what actually got me into loving articulated locomotives. And the first articulate locomotive I got was an Intermountain AC-12. So now
I have a small Garrett locomotive. It's a WAGR MSA, but it's in bits at the moment. So unfortunately, I can't do it.
Yeah,
but
that's the British one, isn't it?
No. It's a 260062. It's about that long, I think. It's an S-scale one.
Oh, I remember seeing that. Where did I see it? I think it was on the vlog.
Probably on the blog, because I did post it up on the blog.
Yeah. Which, what I'll do, I'll actually grab the details of that vlog and I'll put it in the description of this video after.
I did post it in the chat earlier. I'm not sure if anyone saw it.
Okay. Well, if you want to post it in there again, I'll copy it and I'll add it into the description. Oh wow, look. It's finishing time. Do we really want to finish or do we want to keep going?
Jeez, we're right.
I don't know. Want us to keep going or should you? What do you think, guys?
Well, I'm going to have to go here in a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to have to.
Black Mountain, if you can hear me, obviously you can't hear me. Yes, it is live. We are live.
We are live. Yes. Yeah, we've got a couple. We've got Ken Griffith Jr. back, Black Mountain. We got Marty M. Boom, Marty. How are you doing? Barn full of trains. We've got a lot of guys coming back. All the other ones, let's see.
Yeah.
Wilmer, Roy H., Dale Bass, Dwight Curley, Chuck, CDP 1965, Glenn Simon joined us. Possum Bayou, Dave DNF Strains. I'm sure I'm missing somebody. Steve 87, TH, PSAP, Gary Walters. Man, okay. Did I miss anybody? It's hard, it's hard to do this and go through chat and not talk to people.
Yeah.
Especially on this stupid thing.
Steve, we all know you're technologically impaired.
I'm very technology. I can't even say it. Technology talent.
Oh, we love you, Steve. Oh.
Hey, you're lucky you get me. I mean, nobody
right?
knows what I go through to set this thing up in the mornings, because I'm out. I'm not in the house. I'm out in my shop because talking disrupts the wife. She tries to sleep, but I got 2 dogs out, that I have to also keep quiet. So I have to run. I don't have internet out here, so I have to run a cable from my house about 100 feet out to my shop, hook up the modem out here, get it all set up, and hope it works. And chat with
God.
huh?
Pray God.
With Shannon, and to make sure it works. And that's what I go through. And then I have to hope that when I go back inside, the dogs are still sleeping on the couch and they haven't woken Mama up, and I'm not in trouble.
That's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Don't piss off Mama.
When I go in the house and walk in, it's like, it's quiet, cool. Man, it was a good day.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Yeah, I can't say I'm at that stage yet, but I can still hear my baby boy is... Oh, he just went quiet. No, there he goes.
That's suspicious when they're quiet.
Yeah, I'm wondering if my wife is currently sleeping on the floor.
Well, I found it interesting, Shannon, that watching your video that you posted earlier today, or earlier yesterday, I guess.
Today, yesterday, it's...
Yeah, you look like you should look now, time-wise. Because you looked like you were really tired in that video.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You look like you see when I see you here on the video here, you don't look tired at all. But in that video, I thought you looked kind of tired.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I don't really wake up until I actually start, doing something and moving. If I just sit down all day, I'll be sitting here, looking for information.
Hey, Shannon. Woo.
Yeah.
Shannon, stop. I got to find it. Black Mountain Station is wondering who's on the panel right now. So I don't think they know who Ally is. And we know who Claude is. Timber Valley Junction.
Cowboy Valley and Timberline Junction.
Yeah, it's been a long morning. Yeah.
He's asleep too.
Yeah.
I've been talking with Shannon for 2.5 hours on this thing. So.
Yeah. Well, that's like most mornings, Steve. So I don't think it's any different.
But we started even earlier this morning. We started at 4:30 my time.
4:30?
Well,
yeah, Steve doesn't sleep.
Yeah.
I was going to say.
No, I have dogs. I got it. My alarm clock has 4 legs. He wakes up, and it's almost always 4:30. And it's like, okay, we're up. So, check chat. You're up here, and it's like, oh, we're going to start early. Go run the cable out to the shop and talk, and that's what we do.
Hang on, Black Mountain Station. I only know Shannon. That makes me think we've met once before. Have we met Black Mountain? This has got me curious now.
I only knew Shannon until I came on here.
Okay, well, I'll introduce myself. I'm Steve Arnold from Grants Pass, Oregon. Shannon, okay. Claude, you introduce yourself, and that way everybody knows who we are.
Both under the slow-mo government.
Yeah, I'm Claude Crisp, and I live in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And I'm Cowboy Valley and Timberline Junction Railroad.
Boom.
And
Your turn, Allie.
I'm Alison Kelly, and I'm from Western Australia. It is now close to 11 o'clock here, my time. And I don't have a layout, but I model anything that ran in Western Australia. A little bit of scratch building, but that's...
Yeah, we'll discuss that in more detail next week, I think.
Yeah, I think that's probably best.
Yeah. And yeah, I'm Shannon. Yeah, I'm in Southeast Victoria, model N scale.
I'm in trouble for Roy Hardwick. He said, "Don't be calling your wife a dog. She's going to put you in your."
Oh.
Ugh. I'm in timeout now.
Oh God. Yeah. There you go. Black Mountains in Queensland. So.
Oh.
Gee, so wow. So up there be. Yeah, it'd be 2 o'clock over there up in Queensland. Wow. Jeez.
Fellow narrow gauge modeler.
Yeah. What do you do, Black Mountain? Actually, to make things quicker, Black Mountain, if you can get your hands on a camera in the next 30 seconds, just jump on.
Yep, because I'm going to have to jump off. Good to see you guys again.
Yeah, you
nice
too,
to meet
Claude.
you,
Okay,
Allie.
Claude.
Pleasure to meet you, Claude.
We'll see you guys
See you
next week.
time, buddy.
All right.
Alrighty.
There you go. And then there were 3.
There we go. Now there are 3.
Oh, man,
The bad thing, what's really bad out here is there's no bathroom out here. So that's,
we haven't had an intermission.
I was going to say, just do what Brian does. Just open the door and out the front of the door.
There you go.
Gross.
Oh, I guess I better start wrapping this up anyway. I mean, it is getting late.
Yeah.
Everyone's got things to do, I guess. At least Ali gets to go to sleep at a decent hour. I'm going to sleep I probably won't be going to sleep anytime soon because I've got to help the wife with my baby boy.
There you go.
3 o'clock over there?
2:11 now.
Oh, that's right. You changed. That's right. You're back an hour.
Oh, no, I haven't had daylight savings yet, but it's going to get better. It'll get better.
Okay. Yeah, it's good.
Well,
I want to thank everybody for being here.
Yeah.
It's kind of a little informal show. We had nothing planned. We were talking, I was like, well, let's just spend the morning talking about nothing or whatever, just informal.
And a lot of it talking about toilet paper, I think.
Yeah.
I think everybody's talking about toilet paper. I think, you know what, when this is all over with, there's going to be sales of toilet paper, man. You're going to be able to pick it up for pennies on the dollar.
Toilet paper sales and shares are going to go through the roof.
Oh boy, the houses that are going to be TP'd with extra toilet paper, it's going to look like white.
Oh yeah, kids will be buying toilet paper with their pocket money.
Yep, there you go. We just got to get through this and hang in and don't lose our heads.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, thanks again everyone for joining.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, that's right, Ali.
Thank you, Ali.
So
pleasure.
Yep. Just before we do go, so next week we'll run our normal program as we usually do. We'll get Ali back on. She can go into more detail about S scale. So if anyone has any major questions that they want to ask in more detail, you have a week. Yeah, you have a week to figure it out. And Indian Head Valley is asking about the traveling boxcar, and at this rate, Indian Valley, it looks like I'll be supplying the N scale boxcar and getting that underway in the next month. I have made it my mission. Again, we're having trouble getting a hold of Joe, and now with this whole situation, it'll probably be almost impossible to get a hold of Joe.
There is a delay with Australia Post at the moment too.
Oh,
I've been reading.
Oh, I've sent a parcel to someone in the States. It has spent a week at Melbourne Airport doing nothing but sitting there.
Yeah,
Is that my
I've got parcels
locomotive?
from Austria sat in Sydney for about 2 weeks.
So, but you know, it's a month. Hopefully, I'll send it to Steve. Steve will get it all underway, and we'll talk to Simon. Simon's got a list of all the people that have signed up and are ready to go. So we'll get that underway next month. Again, as I said, it's my mission.
Well, and we still got that RS that we need to give away if we can get 50 people in chat.
Yeah.
Yeah,
what did
our
I put?
numbers were a little low this morning, and but that's okay. They'll come back up. But,
yeah, exactly. Anyway, thanks again, guys. We'll catch you next week. Ali will be back, and yeah, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you then.
Thank you. Bye.